Here is my team stabilizer, Ryan, Mukesh and myself Manav. Yesterday we watched a video where nurse was trying to expose this trachea portion of the patient using some adjusting the height of head and this neck portion, neck and shoulder portion. But we saw that she was facing lots of problem and it was taking lots of time. So we decided to work on that and we determined the need statement as an effective way to expose this trachea portion while performing tracheostomy in emergency medical situation. These are the need criteria. So we should have a exposure to there are 3 trachea rings. So we should have a exposure for these 3 trachea rings so that doctor can go for the operation and adaptable to different physiology. And
so then we had to nice to have that it should avoid thyroid glands, and other nice to have is it should be easy to use and training, because what we saw in video, mostly nurses do this kind of operation, this kind of training before doing any operation. So these are our nice to have, must to have. Now Ryan is going to explain about our prototypes.
So we had a couple of prototype concepts we mocked up. Basically the first one was the idea where essentially putting together something like a board that can slide, a board or a bed insert that can be put under the patient, which then has basically has their neck hanging back, and then essentially has like a which is an adjustable platform that allows them to control the height of the head, so they can basically the patient's leaning back and they can raise the head more or less depending on how well it's positioned. The other concept we came up with for that was, instead of using more like a metal cage and sliding rails, was also to have essentially like the patient's bed with like the patient operating table with basically like a sloping platform that angles the shoulders down, but then putting essentially inflatable air sacs under the neck and under the back of the head. That then by inflating the air sacs, you can basically change the head, like the relative height of the head, the neck, and the shoulders. And for this one, since it sounds like usually like the nurses are doing the positioning, but then the surgeon comes in and might want to like slightly adjust it. We're making it so that each one of the air sacs basically has a valve where you can either select to add additional air or like deflate air, which changes the height. And then for adding air, there'd be basically just a simple mechanical foot pump. And the concept there would be making it so that like these are all foot switches, so the clinician can do small adjustments on the height of the positioning of the patient without having to touch them and then have to scrub in again, since they have to keep their hands very sterile for operations, but it's okay if they're like working foot switches. And so we also wanted to try and make it both of them were trying to make it so they could accommodate different size heads, and then also make sure the head's immobilized, so like having like strap just across the forehead so the patient's head can't tilt during the operation or anything like that.
So our next steps are like, first we will take this prototype to clinician and we will take feedback from them, and other thing after feedback we will going to make a scalable prototype, and that other thing means parallelly we will be going to do some more research on this problem. We're going to make a market model, and also we will going to do a stakeholder analysis to define our prototype and design more. So, any question?
Fantastic, I think, yeah. So I think I really like the second concept, the one in which the clinician or the surgeon could adjust the angle of the neck extension and the head support, and with the foot pedal thing, it looks like it already matches a lot of other devices that ENT surgeons use. So we are comfortable with foot pedals for a lot of things. Even coblation, ablation are all foot pedal controlled. Lifting the size of the height of the chair is also many times foot pedal controlled. So it's something that we are used to, and many times during the surgery, if you want to make subtle adjustments, it's difficult because we can't really shake the patient around too much and our hands are gloved up. So I like that flexibility, but what probably should be validated most is, since this is a preparation for a surgery and not really a critical step in the surgery, how would we get this into the hospital system so that it's used? Because it's great, but would people see the value for something that they're managing with rolls of clothing or sandbags? But every surgeon realizes that this is a critical step, but we are not the ones who are the decision makers to get this into the hospital. Would they really see that value? And I think more than the clinician's feedback, I mean, you can speak to a few ENT surgeons. I think we really need to find out who's going to decide that this would be purchased, and what difference is this going to make in terms of the value proposition. All right, but otherwise, I think yeah, great job. I love the prototypes. This is a good example of how a prototype can explain something, even if it's miniature, but it gives you a clear understanding of what you're trying to do. So it's a great example of a prototype, and I think that's really well done. In terms of needs criteria, I think exposure to 3 tracheal rings sounds all right, but adaptable to different physiology is still a little vague, right? Because adaptable to different physiology means
different body sizes, so
okay,
men,
yeah.
women, children, different heights, different neck lengths.
So all of them. It should be adaptable to 100% of all of them, or maybe I think if you could be a little more
like
specific.
maybe 90%.
So 90% of variations in neck, head, shoulder sizes, maybe if it's a little more specific, because physiology always goes down to the way the body system works. But now I understand that I think it's more anatomical size variations and changes, so maybe that's all right. Avoiding thyroid glands completely, it's very hard to avoid a thyroid gland completely. You would touch it, but I think if you would put a marker on the bleeding or damage from it, would probably be a more better marker. And easy to use in training, if that could be measured in some way, that after 3 or it could be used well after using it for 2 or 3 times, or some marker for the easy to use in training, so that it's just more measurable. But otherwise, yeah, those are my comments. And maybe
Is this an accessory or it gets fixed to the bed? How does it
It will be accessory. You can put on the
whenever we need,
yeah.
we bring it.
Yes.
We are planning to make it through thin plastic sheets.
It will be like
cost will be
1 kilo.
less. We are trying to make it from thin plastic sheets to reduce cost and make it disposable device. Means the one which you put there, it will be disposable, and that pump will be adjustable, which they can use recurrently.
What is scalable prototype?
Like something which is more look like, and we can go ahead and we can do some primary testing.
I think he means life size prototype.
Real life size prototype, you said? That's what you meant?
Yeah, it's like life size prototype.
Real life size, not the miniature. Yeah, but the scalable gives a different, because earlier you said it will meet various sizes and stuff. So I thought it's going to adjustable for it. Is that what? You didn't mean that, right?
No,
So just put the real size.
So one business model where I see that this could fit is in corporate hospitals. So they've started this new thing of having a package system for surgeries. So my mother recently got operated for total knee replacement, and then she got an incentive spirometer and cold packs, which we never actually purchased. But when they mean package, it's a fixed amount, but then they just buy all these things that are needed. So if this was like a tracheostomy package, then the patient or the doctor or the hospital doesn't make any decision on what needs to be bought or not, but you could recover costs of this being part of the kit that goes into that. And I think I can see this fit in that model, but as an individual procurement, that would need some more understanding. So you can explore that with the corporate hospitals. All right, big round of applause.